You have reached the legendary 90-day milestone, the promised land of the God-Man, archetype where the superpowers are supposed to be permanent and the struggle is meant to vanish. But as you stand at the peak, you feel a cold, terrifying wind that no one ever mentioned. The tragedy of long-term retention is the grandeur trap, a psychological state where your surging internal energy begins to inflate your ego to a dangerous, unsustainable level. You aren't just feeling confident. You are starting to feel invincible, detached from the very humanity that you are trying to. You aren't prepared for the isolation of the sovereign, the deep, soulful loneliness that comes when your vibration shifts so far away from the average man that you no longer fit in. Your old friends look like ghosts, and your old life feels like a suit that is. According to Jungian psychology, every great light casts a proportional shadow, and on day 90, your shadow is more powerful than it has ever been. The suppressed urges of your past haven't disappeared. They have mutated into a subtle, sophisticated arrogance that can alienate the people you. Reference the concept of enantiodromia, where a force eventually turns into its opposite. If you do not transmute the 90-day pressure, your self-control can turn into self-cruelty, leaving you cold, judgmental, and unable to experience the simple, warm joys of a normal, balanced, and very human masculine. By 3 months, your androgen sensitivity is at its absolute peak, making every social interaction feel high stakes and every minor slight feel like a declaration of war. You are a high-voltage wire walking through a world of wet paper, constantly risking a short circuit of your own. Imagine a man who has held his breath for 3 minutes. The oxygen is finally returning, but the pressure in his lungs is a screaming agony of its own. On day 90, the pressure of potential is so immense that you might find yourself paralyzed by the fear of. Most men fail to mention the emotional volatility that returns after the flat line has cleared. You don't just feel more joy, you feel more rage, more grief, and more intensity than your previous numbed-out self could ever handle. You are a giant who hasn't learned his. The twist that no one discusses is the spiritual pride that can rot a man from the inside out. You start to look down on leaky men with a silent, lethal contempt, forgetting that you were once one of them. You have traded a physical addiction for a. To survive the dark side of 90 days, you must implement radical humility immediately. You must realize that your retention is not a trophy to be displayed, but a tool to be used for the service of others. If you don't find a vessel for your power. Practical framework step 1, ego auditing. Spend 10 minutes every night identifying where your new confidence turned into arrogance during the day. Correct the frequency. You must remain a student of the light, not a master of the dark, to keep your soul balanced and vary. Practical framework step 2, physical anchoring. High-level retention can make you feel floaty or ungrounded. You must engage in heavy, grounding, labor-digging earth, lifting stones, or walking barefoot. You must remind your spirit that it is still tethered to the physical reality of the earth. Practical framework step 3, the mercy protocol. Actively seek out opportunities to help someone who is weaker than you. Transmute your aggressive drive into protective compassion. This prevents the God complex from taking root in your heart and turning you into a monster of yore. Expectation reset. Day 90 is not the end of the journey. It is the end of the tutorial. The real game of high-frequency living is just beginning, and the stakes are much higher now. One mistake at this level can lead to a catastrophic fall of. The reality of the 90-day man is that he is a nuclear reactor. He provides immense power, but he requires constant, expert maintenance to prevent a meltdown. You are no longer a civilian in the world of discipline. You are an operator with a very high risk. You will notice a heavy silence in your social life as the vampires realize they can no longer feed on you. This can feel like rejection, but it is actually correction. You are being cleared of the clutter, so that you can finally build something that the world wants you to fall at day 90, because a man who has truly mastered himself for 3 months is a system error in the matrix. You are a variable that cannot be predicted or controlled. The pressure you feel is the system trying to crush. You might feel a sudden, intense melancholy as the novelty of the superpowers wears off. You realize that retention is not a magic pill that fixes your life. It is simply the energy you need to fix it yourself. The work is still ahead of. Tears of a heavy responsibility might hit you on day 90. You realize that you can never go back to the comfortable darkness of your old life. You are committed to the light forever, and that commitment is a heavy, beautiful, and very terrifying golden. The suspense of your 90-day existence is the knowledge that you are now dangerous. You have the focus, the energy, and the drive to do anything, which means you have the power to destroy as much as you can build. You must choose the light. Your relationships will enter a trial by fire. People will either rise to meet your new standards, or they will burn away in the heat of your presence. You must be prepared to let go of anyone who cannot handle the sun at you. This is the philosophy of the shadow. You are acknowledging the darkness within your power so that you can control it. You are not a good man because you are weak. You are a good man because you are dangerous and you choose. The emotional weight of the 90-day mark is the feeling of absolute accountability. You can no longer blame your addiction for your failures. If you fail now, it is because of your choice. You are the king, and the crown is very heavy. But the danger is in the peak paradox. You feel so high that you think you can't fall. You stop practicing the basics that got you here. You must remain a white belt in your heart, even as you wear the black belt of yore. One moment of prideful indulgence can lead to a relapse that feels like a death of the soul. The fall from 90 days is much harder than the fall from 7. The higher you climb, the more careful you must be with every. Your journey is a sacred weight. You are carrying the fire of your ancestors, and they are watching to see if you will use it to light the path or to burn the bridge. You are the sentinel of your own long term. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. Every thanks is a spark that keeps this mission alive. Your support means more than you know. Real wisdom deserves real energy. Drop a thanks to fuel the next level. The suspense of the next 90 days is the source of your new strength. You are no longer counting days. You are counting victories. You are the master of the shadow, the captain of the light, and the one who finally, truly. As the sun sets on your 90th day, you stand in the dark silence, a man who has faced himself and survived. You are the 90-day man, the shadow walker, and the one who has finally, beautifully, and eternally found the strength to hold. The final silence of this script is the silence of true power. It doesn't need to shout. It just exists. You are the master of the energy, the captain of the soul, and the one who has finally, beautifully, and eternally learned.